This is the Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio. Thank you for joining us. We have a great show today. At any time, you can email the program at messiahhour@gmail.com, or you can contact the station at Israel Sports and News Radio at gmail.com. A lot of people throughout the world want to know what's really going on in the Holy Land. BBC, CNN, the other outlets not exactly telling the truth, getting the job done. So we're going to talk about what's really going on internally. On the line right now, the author of All-American Karate Champ and Time to Be Free, 5173, both books available on Amazon.com. Back to the program, Paris David Blumenthal. Paris David, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be on your show, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you back on. Let's talk about the sad story, the murder of a soldier in Beersheba on Sunday. And you're the understanding there has been some weird response from the Israeli government and security officials to this murder on Sunday. So tell my audience a bit about it.
Well, let's go to what actually happened. You know, when these things happen, it's pandemonium. People panic. They don't know who to identify, who is the terrorist. Then you have collateral damage. And collateral damage meaning innocent citizens that are within the location of the attack. And there were 11 people injured. Now, there's a lot of information that hasn't been disseminated correctly, and that's where it's sketchy. Some people said that there was friendly fire from they're not staying if it was a policeman or a security guard, whomever, who actually shot a few of the people trying to shoot the terrorists. Bullets obviously either ricocheted or accidentally hit some of those people. As you see in those in target practice in any of the police stations here and abroad, you have like a poster that shoots up and it's like a little mother with a baby. Then all of a sudden another one shoots up and it's like a terrorist. So they have to react instantaneously. Here they're not sure because everybody's wearing plain clothes and you don't know who the terrorist is. So that tends to be a problem. They said that an Eritrean man was actually shot who was not involved, but somebody thought, when you assume, that he was one of the terrorists when the terrorist was actually held up in a bathroom. And they had stolen the gun from one of the IDF soldiers. And that's what I don't understand because that's sketchy. Because as you and I know, going on the buses, the IDF soldiers, when they carry the rifles, at times they're taped up and the magazines are taped up and it's not locked and loaded for in case it's released. But now in many cases, some of them are given orders to have the guns ready to be unloaded instantaneously. The only problem with an M16 in close quarters, it's not very effective as opposed to a handgun. And a knife versus a handgun, I'll take a knife over a handgun in the martial arts. In close proximity, it's much more efficient. You don't have to take it from the holster, and you can react quickly, especially an attacker who knows attack defensively. The time is not there, and it's been proven in gunslingers in the American West. The one who pulled the gun first, always most likely, I think it was 90% of the time, lost the contest, and because of the reaction time they see it. So the person with the knife definitely has an advantage over somebody with a handgun, especially over an M16. It's so big and bulky. When you're on a bus with a lot of people, you can easily grab that gun and take it away from them. All you do is just flick it a half inch and the bullet goes somewhere else and doesn't hit you. So those are things that have to be taken into consideration with the security officials when they send these young men and women out there with M16s in close proximity quarters within the community. It's very dangerous. They can have their guns taken away, or they're not effective at all. They're useless.
You were talking about the, I guess, reports being sketchy. So what do you think is really under the surface? What is really going on here?
Well, you have political correctness, with the international community. So Israel wants to appease them, the people behind it, government and media at times. And then number two, when things don't go the way of the politicians, the security officials and so forth, politically have to have a reason why something didn't go right or wrong. So you have a lot of cover-ups. You have a lot of misinformation, so people don't know what's going on. For instance, in Beersheba, they had in officials, and then it was hushed up, said, you know what, we're not going to have any more security guards in the front because it promotes terrorism. When they see the security guard, they're intimidated, so they want to become instantly a terrorist. I don't understand that mentality, but from a political standpoint, tends to be more leaning to the left or liberal thinking. That's normal. Appeasement is normal. Just ask Chamberlain of England. It was normal to give Hitler part of Czechoslovakia. It was normal for letting him walk into Poland and take it in one day. It's okay. He won't hurt anybody else. But the next day he walks in and takes another country, then another country, and then World War II begins. When you have this type of appeasement, it only opens up to more terrorism and to major wars. That's been proven historically.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour on Israel Sports and News Radio. My guest is Paris David Blumenthal. So what exactly is their thinking? Because the politicians, the Israeli politicians, you would think they would want the best for us, the best for the Israeli people. But again, is there something else going on?
Well, they're in between a lot of things. There's a lot of money at stake. It's a business, unfortunately. They may be it's a military establishment. There's a lot of business coming in. As long as there's more terrorism and potential enemies at the gates of Israel, they get to order and buy missiles or sell technologies that are developed for our security here. But sometimes political strife within the country and political correctness and appeasement create a blend of ingredients in a salad that does not protect the communities, the individual citizens within a country, especially Israel. And we were driving on the freeway the other day, and a Palestinian truck, you can see he was with the lights play, everything, was maybe out of order or whatever had happened. The engine was up. The whole freeway on Tel Aviv was blocked because of him. I mean, that's dangerous. I don't want to get into some ideas, but it's obvious. It's very dangerous. You can plug up a whole freeway with one guy. There are all kinds of things here that have to be more efficient. And there's no highway patrol in Israel like in America, like where you and I are used to. We need some sort of highway patrol to get the cars off the road instantaneously, and we need better training for the police. As far as I'm concerned, after training with police, them over 2 decades in America, I come here. They're not trained at all. They don't know how to arrest a guy. They don't know how to put him on the ground, how to spread eagle him. They don't know how to search him correctly. The management has failed, and they don't understand the laws, and they don't know what they can do to arrest or decease an individual who's starting trouble. And they need to work on. It's in my book, OIR, observation, identification, reaction. The reactions are very slow. In my opinion, they need to hire better quality people than the police. I'm sure there are, but I haven't seen as large a percentage as they should. And one guy was joking who was within the police. He said they hire the brightest of the dumbest, and they're not well paid. It's better to get fewer police, higher paid, among the best, who maybe were in special forces as our police, and know how to work with the community, know how to be friendly with them, which many of them are, but they need to be useful. They need to put themselves out there to help when the car is causing trouble. If there's a jaywalker holding up traffic, don't let the guy go because you have to do a bunch of paperwork. Get him. Tell him don't do that again. That's dangerous, especially nowadays with terrorists. If you plug up any traffic and stop the free flow, we can have all kinds of problems. The police need to be better trained in Israel, and it's evident with all the corruption scandals that have been in the newspapers. Everybody's read about it. Everybody knows about it. And every Israeli citizen says, unfortunately, you go to them in the street, the police are not well trained. They all know. It's unfortunate. We need to build a better reputation with the police departments, the state police in Israel. And that would be the stepping stone to our security and prevention of all these attacks. And citizens have stepped up to the table. Today there was another attack. Did you hear about that one in the bus?
Yes.
They grabbed him. The citizens did. They grabbed the guy and shoved him on the floor, took his knife, and neutralized him completely. Of course, they sent the guy to the hospital. I'm sure people got a few shots in that they shouldn't have, but he was hospitalized. He's lucky he's still alive. Another situation at a synagogue this morning again. They wouldn't say if he had a knife or a gun, but they said he was also neutralized, and they got him. So the citizens now have stepped up to the plate, realizing the only people that's going to protect them are us, the Israeli citizens. We have to protect each other, or else there are no police or no IDF going to come to the running one at that moment. They can't. There's not enough of them, and they don't know what's going to happen. It's all by surprise. We have to be ready.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. My friend Josh Hastings, he made this video that's gone viral where there were people, there were Arabs that were going to attack him, and he went to the soldiers. The soldiers said, "We're not allowed to do anything. Handle it yourself." So is it? I don't think it's just the personnel, but it's the policy that needs to change as well, right?
Well, there's a new policy being initiated. You heard now because of the videos showing many of the police having multiple bullets into a terrorist. They said now they prefer them only to shoot in the leg, not to kill, to injure them so they can take them to the hospital. Like that other, I think the Palestinian Authority, Abbas, said that we had assassinated one of the terrorists when actually they showed him in the hospital. And again, the liberals were appeasing, saying, look how healthy he is and look how nice he is. I mean, and yet the rabbi died, I believe it was in the same hospital, if I'm not mistaken, because they said, oh, we take care of everybody, but he bled to death and wasn't taken care of. And by the way, many of the hospitals here do not have Jewish doctors and nurses, especially at Hadassah. And it doesn't matter if he's Palestinian or Jewish, everybody has to be taken care of. But I'm wondering now, with terrorism going through here, who is a terrorist working as a nurse? Who pulls a plug on a Jew? What doctor doesn't run over there when somebody's life is on the brink of danger? They may live or die. He'll take his time. Those are things that have to be answered, and I think everybody has to be double-checked in all the hospitals right now. Because if Jews are going to the hospital and you have Palestinians who have other thoughts that are taking care of them, watch out. The Jews have always been known to take care of the Palestinians. I wonder now that the roles have been reversed, will that happen? We have to question this and take a look at it. I'm not saying it's happening, but I said we have to review it. It's very important.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports News Radio. My guest is Paris David Blumenthal. We're talking about the situation going on in Israel. Something that's been brought to my attention, this might not be so happy to say, but people going in restaurants, you got to be careful if there are cooks that are potentially Palestinian, right? They could do something to the food as well. It's another security concern.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can just put a few stems of I don't want to give anybody ideas, so I'm not going to say it. But anyway, yes, it's a very, very potential dangerous situation, being aware of who is preparing our food for all of us, be it an Arab or Jew, because they can kill a Palestinian accidentally and thinking he was a Jew. And here's another thing, too, changing the subject a little bit. John Kerry from the United States representing in regards to saying that building and it's creating terrorism. Wait a second. Let's put this on the books right now. Who are the labor for those homes? Palestinians. The state of Israel has given them jobs. They're out of jobs now. Those homes aren't built. They're out of jobs. That creates more terrorism by not employing them. Think about that.
It's crazy. They're hurting themselves.
And the United States, unfortunately, the operations and the feelings towards helping the Palestinians are actually hurting them. I'm just, making them unemployed and riling everybody up. And Europe now is falling apart with all of these, what they're calling refugees are actually immigrants, and they're pulling people out of their homes in Germany. I don't want to see this type of situation potentially happening in Israel. People start coming across our border, especially what's going on in Syria. Wow, it's dangerous. And Jordan, if Jordan should collapse, imagine what could happen on our borders. It's a dangerous situation in and outside Israel and the world right now, the Western world. I haven't seen Japan, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar accepting any type of what they call refugees. Have you? Have you heard about it?
No, I've not.
Saudi taking 100,000 in? Russia taking 100,000 in?
No. So you're talking about the refugees. There was talks about Israel accepting refugees, but they decided not to. Well, is there more that meets the eye with the refugee situation?
Oh my goodness, Israel hasn't accepted any of them. Who said this? We've got 100,000 in Tel Aviv. Please.
Right, it's not
please.
the way the media's reported, though,
People,
right?
Yeah, well, we just couldn't handle anymore. 200,000. Israel has bent backwards to help out as many people as we can. What, we need 100,000 in our small country here? Come on. You know what I would like to do? I would like to call out the Queen of England and the Pope. I mean, they've got that huge Vatican. He's got connections all over the place. Why don't they convert, put some beds in the Vatican and the palace in England? I mean, she's got a huge palace. We can send some of those immigrants and refugees there. I'm sure that they're very generous in helping them out, aren't they?
Great point. Yeah, so Queen of England, I'm sure you listen to the program, but take the refugees in. No, it's crazy. It's so hypocritical. Our country's the size of New Jersey, and they want to stick more and more refugees. They have huge land across the whole world. They don't do it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the countries who are criticizing Israel, then say, hey, if you want to help, we'll put you on the refugee committee. Why don't we start with your home? Can you take in 2 to 4 people? We'd be more than happy to do that. I mean, let's see where they stand there. It's kind of like the man who bought tickets during the summer in the pool in Tel Aviv. It was a very high-end profile pool location, a country club. I believe he bought approximately 35 to 50 tickets. I didn't get the exact number for them to enter the pool. And all the liberal, wealthy people in that area quickly called the police. Police said, we can't do anything. They all had tickets. They were legally allowed. And it was an attorney. And he sued them at the same time for prejudice. It was hysterical. It went to court, and they lost. And they had to pay, I think, each of the refugees retribution for racism. And these are the leftist liberals who said, not my neighborhood. All of a sudden, it hit their neighborhood. Now look.
Right, that's the time where they'd want to go to their beliefs when it affected them. Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio, being joined by Paris David Blumenthal. Has written 2 books, Time to Be Free, 5173, and All-American Karate Champ, both available on Amazon. Paris David, you brought an interesting point to me off the air regarding the idea of some parts of Israel society, the left society, want to bring in West ideals or Greek ideals, something to that effect, and that may be what's messing things up. Elaborate on that for me, please, and for our audience.
Well, I'll just use, the old adage, history repeats itself. If we go back to Jewish history, the Maccabees at the time, where the Greeks were the ultimate culture and they were the ultimate power in the world, there were Jews who lived within Israel, Jerusalem, who felt that the Greeks were better people and that we wanted to be more like them instead of maintaining our own culture. And during the battles and the soldiers, they actually opened up and worked as spies to help the Greeks close down Jerusalem, and the Maccabees fought them back. And I would say today they'd be classified as very liberal to allow this. Traitors is another word, too. I'm not saying that liberal and traitor tend to be one and the same, but at times they do emulate that. And right now we have people who are not really thinking about, is Israel a Jewish state? I don't know what kind of state they're thinking it's going to be, but they're thinking it's an eclectic state for all in the Middle East. It's not going to happen. We are a Jewish state. Remember, in the Organization Islamic Committee, OIC, there are 57 Islamic members, which I believe 53 are Muslim countries, and only 4 what they call observer states, like Russia, China, etc., that are involved in that. But my goodness, we're only talking one. Why don't we just call it Observation of Israel? We call it OIS, state. We're the only Jewish state in the world. Why should we be picked on? There's enough Muslim countries that are in the OIC, and they should be proud that they're Muslim, and we should be proud that we're Jewish. And this is the identity of Israel, that we are a Jewish state. All people are welcome to live here if they can, and they can get in legally and live safely and securely, regardless of their religion, race, creed, or persuasion, religion, etc. But it's a Jewish state. If you go to Saudi Arabia, can we erect a church for the Christians? Can we erect a synagogue for us as Jews? I don't think so. I don't think so. In Israel, can you? Of course, no problem. We didn't burn Joseph's tomb the other day. It wasn't the Jews or the Christians or the Hindus or the Druze or anybody else. It was Palestinians who tried to burn it to the ground. We've got to be careful on who we let into the country, who's running the country, and who the world is supporting. They've got to open their eyes.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports News Radio. A few more minutes with Paris David Blumenthal. I want to change gears a little bit, talk a bit about the economy, because one of the things that's interesting is Bibi's been in power. This is his second go-around. He's the longest reigning prime minister outside of David Ben-Gurion in Israel's history, and he was an excellent finance minister, but I don't think he's done such a great job with the economy now, and Israel's beginnings were socialism, no doubt about that. But it kind of seems interesting that the security issues deflect the attention away from the fact it's very difficult to make money here, yet housing prices continually go up. So if you can just give us your thoughts about that.
Well, Israel is not the only country with the same problem. The young people are graduating universities in the United States, in Europe, and Israel. It's the same Western concept and model that they've set up, so we're all suffering from that model. They're graduating and they're not getting the big jobs that they thought they were, and they're in debt, from the loans or whatever it may be. So, for instance, in Israel, an average college graduate will be lucky if they can get 5,000 shekels a month, which is maybe equivalent to maybe $1,500, give or take, depends on the difference between the shekel and the dollar. Now, they know they have no future. I've done some talks at some of the local colleges and universities the last few years. They all raise their hand. It's a big issue with them. We have no future. We're back living with our parents. They can't afford to buy homes. But the question is, why is it that there's only 93% of the land has been held back to the Israeli government, and only 7% has been allocated to the people, and only kablans or construction people are given the opportunities to win the bids for the construction? It's created monopolies within. There's a lot of monopolies, as you and I know, one electric company, one this, one that, in Israel. If they start to open up the market like Kahlon did with the telephone business, which dropped the prices tremendously, and all they did was get the government out of business. And once they take their hands out, the free market takes over, competition naturally goes in there, and then boom, prices drop. There's too much real estate intervention here. And you're right. But Netanyahu, in regards to Netanyahu, there might be a deflection here, but Netanyahu can't do too much. The system is already broken, and there are too many people who have special interests, and those interests now are going down the wrong road. They can't use the same model because things are changing rapidly, quickly. Fiat currency, as we call paper money, is devaluing rapidly. That's another reason why housing has gone up. It's just that the money has devalued, and they keep on printing more of it worldwide, from the U.S. dollar to even maybe the shekel to also the euro. The more you print, the more it becomes less in value. It's supply and demand. So you have more buyers and sellers, or more sellers and buyers. It affects the marketplace. So that's what's happening. We're having a lot of inflation worldwide, and especially here in Israel, nobody can buy a house. I mean, and to try to get a loan, my goodness, you have to give your firstborn just about. It's a very difficult situation.
People have to realize, the situation in that regard needs to be fixed as well, because some of our best, brightest minds leave Israel because they can't make a living, and that's going to affect everybody.
Oh, you're absolutely right. 40,000 left to Berlin, Germany, and Lapid was all upset and calling them traitors. Well, hey, Lapid was the one who had this Lapid tax for real estate, had this tax. Taxes doesn't draw business. Government doesn't produce anything. People produce business. People produce money and a tax base. They also need to lower the taxes here. It would be very beneficial to people. They put the VAT tax, which we don't have in the United States. We have state taxes. It's 17%. Can you imagine 17% tax in California? Well, California's pretty high. And it's at 10, and people are complaining. Can you imagine 17% in any state in America? People will be running out of that state as fast as you can spell tax. Here it's very high, and they double-end it, and they call it a value-added tax. I mean, it takes all the value out of the product, so we have to buy cheaper products and sell them for high money. That's why you look at the cars here. Wow, probably the most cars are sold to Israelis. Probably the highest ticket price maybe in the world is here. And the Palestinians buy their cars with no tax, but an Israeli citizen has to pay tax. I don't know. I think the Palestinians are very well treated here. They get nice jobs and everything else. The Jewish citizens here are suffering. High taxes, government intervention, terrorism now. It's becoming a situation that the politicians have to be leaders. They have to step up as leaders instead of endorsing their interests that put them into office. They need to start to look at this because the people are suffering in Israel, the Jews especially.
Yeah, even if you talk about how well the Palestinians are living, if you even look at the terrorist attack last week, the terrorist worked for Bezek, and he killed the rabbi in a company car. I mean, people around the world have to look up and realize and wake up that these are not poor Palestinians that have nothing. A lot of them are very well off. So it's something they should keep in mind. Again, this has been another episode of the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio. My guest has been Paris David Blumenthal. You can check out his books, All-American Karate Champ and Time to Be Free, 5173 on Amazon.com. Paris David, thank you for being on the program.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ari. You got a great show. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Be well, stay safe, and shalom from Israel.